We got a huge matchup in the GMAC. We got Northwood versus Ashland, the preseason favorite to win the GMAC. They're currently 2-1 on the year, coming off of a win against Hillsdale, 26-9. They did lose to Indianapolis earlier this year, going up against this Northwood team that is 3-0, coming off of a close but competitive win against Thomas More. This is truly going to be one of the biggest matchups that Northwood has this year, just because of obviously preseason expectations. But those preseason expectations obviously get thrown out the door when it starts conference play. Both teams 2-0, and this is an Ashland team that has had some, I don't want to say worries, but like when you're looking offensively at them compared to what Northwood has done this year, you look at Ashland and you see just what they've done through the air, what they've done on the ground, and it truly starts with through the air for this Ashland team. And Cameron Blair has a 58% completion rate. If you just look at what the statistics say, just how the style of play that they've had, while they've played really tough competition, especially Indianapolis, which they're receiving votes at this point, I would say really offensively, especially when you're talking about throwing the ball, I truly think that Northwood has the advantage here. I just think that Northwood, with like guys like Lake Boost, with guys like Devin Brown, Case Boost, Sam Dursa, Jake Townsend, I just think with those guys and just with how good Ethan Hamby has been this year, I think offensively, if you're looking at this two matchup, you feel a little bit more comfortable with what Northwood has been doing this year. Now, last week was obviously not the best turnout for this offense, but I truly think that they're going to be able to truly respond to what Ashland is going to do defensively. Now, Ashland has had some success defensively, especially forcing turnovers this year. They've forced 5 fumbles this year, so they're able to get the ball out of the wide receiver, running backs, quarterbacks' hands. So they're pretty good at forcing turnovers, at least getting the ball on the ground, which is extremely important. You also have a couple of guys you really want to keep an eye on for this Ashland defense. You have Alicia Baldridge. He's the leading tackler on this team, 3.5 sacks on the year, overall 19 tackles. You also have a guy in Jack Talkleton, 1 sack on the year, 15 tackles. And then you just have a couple other guys in the secondary that you really have to kind of keep an eye on for. And just this overall Ashland team has had a little bit of success getting to the quarterback. It's been mostly Michael Shimmick, though, has been kind of the main guy getting to the quarterback, has 7.5 sacks on the year, only 13 tackles total. So that's pretty crazy if you look at it. Over half his tackles are sacks. So if you have a guy in Michael and Alicia, you're really going to have to focus on obviously protect Ethan Hamby. And Northwood, I think, has done a pretty good job of doing that with this offensive line. Now, I do think Northwood is going to have to attack this secondary for Ashland, because if you look at what Ashland has given up compared to the run game, Ashland's given up quite a bit more passing yards. Ashland's only given up about 56 yards per game on the ground. Now, truly, I do think offensively, and I've said this multiple times, that Northwood is better at passing the ball. So do I think it would be too much of a concern if Northwood can't run the ball effectively? No, I don't necessarily think so. I think they've been pretty good at it. But if you really have to rely on the quarterback, tight ends, running backs, and wide receivers to get it done through the air, I truly think that this team should be able to do that. Now, let's talk about a little bit about Northwood against this Ashland offense. I did talk about and mention just their starting quarterback for Ashland. 3 interceptions, 3 touchdowns on the year, but he does have a few guys that he can get the ball to. One of those guys is Jent Joseph. He has 14 catches on the year, no touchdowns, 136 yards. If you just really look at what this Ashland team has, there's really not one specific wide receiver that truly stands out over the other. They're all kind of around the same yardage for the most part. You have Jent Joseph, Brock Henny's 132 yards, DJ Harvey's 101 yards. If you look at that versus what Northwood has done defensively, they've only given up 187 yards through the air per game. Like, that's going to be something that Northwood's going to continue to probably address. That's going to be something that I think Northwood's going to be able to succeed in. And I truly think that this offense for Ashland is really going to rely on this running game, because if you look at what Northwood has done, they've given over like 300 yards allowed running the ball. Now, obviously, Ashland's a little bit more pass heavy. They do have some running backs, and Tyrus Stevenson, he's going to be a guy that's going to have to be watched. Wiltred Harrison is going to have to be another guy he's going to have to watch. There's a couple of running backs to kind of keep an eye on for. And then you also have Cameron Blair. He has shown some ability to be able to use his legs to pick up first downs, or just use it just to continue to extend the play. He's going to be a guy that I'm going to continue to keep an eye on for as well. You always really have to focus on the quarterbacks that have shown that they can use their legs to continue to keep the offense going down the field. So those are a couple of things I'm going to kind of keep an eye on for. I truly think this is going to be a competitive game. I've decided to pick against Northwood once this year already. I'm not going to do that again. I think this Northwood team will be ready for Ashland. It's going to be a home game for Northwood. It's going to have basically the crowd behind them the whole time. I think this coaching staff, I think this team understands how big of a game this is. And if you can get to a 2-0 start to start conference play and beat the quote-unquote preseason favorite, I think that would really continue to build momentum for this Northwood team going into the rest of conference play. And I truly think that they do that. And I think this defense is going to make some plays. I think you have a couple of guys, like I mentioned before, Cole Simpson, Joel Lathers. You have a couple of guys that just love to fly around, to get in the backfield, to make plays. They're shut-down defenders. I just think Northwood has too much defensively that stops this Ashland team, and I think offensively they'll be a little bit better than what they were against Thomas More. So I have a close game, but I have Northwood winning this game, advancing to 4-0 and 2-0 in the conference. But good luck to Northwood, obviously, in this game. Hopefully you guys end up getting the win. Hopefully you enjoy this content. If you did, definitely make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment. Please share with your friends, family, all that kind of stuff. Really appreciate any of that. And yeah, good luck to Northwood. Big game for them this weekend.